What is going on, everybody? There are a ton of new Commander products coming out. We've got the Streets of New Capenna Commander decks. We've also got the Commander Legends Baldur's Gate, which is coming out and pre-releasing as we speak. So let's take a look at a new Commander deck. Let's go. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Ruxora, and here we do all things Magic the Gathering. Today we're doing another Commander deck list. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Ruxora, and here we do all things Magic the Gathering. Today we are doing another Commander deck tech, where I take a look at a decklist submission, analyze the commander, the card choices, as well as the strategy overall, and at the end I'll give it a rating out of 10. If you want your deck list reviewed, remember you can leave a comment down below with a link, or you can also post in my Discord where I have a dedicated channel. And while you're at it, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All right, so our decklist submission day comes from Professor Amateur, who's doing a ton of work messing around with these new cards. Our commander today comes from the Streets of New Capenna commander deck lists. We don't have any from the Baldur's Gate set just yet. It's pre-releasing right now. I just did draft yesterday, ton of fun, but just kind of let that happen, and then we'll kind of do some cards with those later. All right, so let's take a look at this brand new commander. So the commander, or general, if you will, of this deck list is Jolene the Plunder Queen, which is a human warrior here for 2 green red, so Gruul colors here, for a 2/2 with whenever a player attacks one or more of your opponents, that attacking player creates a treasure token. So instantly they're giving yourself a treasure whenever you attack, and also kind of incentivizing your opponents to not attack you. So really interesting in this kind of multiplayer environment. Furthermore, if you would create one or more treasure tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional treasure token. So this is only a benefit for you, which is notable, and does a really great job of, again, doubling up on your treasures. So it counts for Jolene herself, but also if you have any other effects that make treasures, you make an additional one, which is really powerful. And then the last one here, sacrifice 5 treasures, put 5+1/+1 counters on Jolene. So yeah, can kind of get large if you are making that many treasures. Now you are sacrificing in that mana, but you know, if you kind of count this as like pay 5 mana, put 5 counters on it, it seems pretty fine rate. Again, especially if you don't have anything else going on, or if you're just like want to get some kind of damages, maybe get some commander damage wins. That would be kind of cool. But yeah, really interesting commander here, a lot going on here, and you know, it is just a 2/2, but again, it has that ability at the end there, and also, like, again, it's kind of a beneficial effect to your opponents. So yeah, interesting to see how this would play in a multiplayer environment. All right, let's take a look at the actual deck list now. All right, guys, so here is the deck list. Before we get into any of the lists here, again, just a preface that, you know, there are combos in this deck that go infinite, yada yada. Professor Amateur and I and our group don't tend to shy away from these powerful combos. So if that's not how you want to play the game, totally fine. Just, you know, just be aware that there is combos in this one. As this title is that a JoJo reference, apparently, because there is a funny, you know, kind of thing from the show here. If you combine Jolene with Sticky Fingers, I believe it is. So if you like that, you know, this is still a fine card. We'll go over this when we get to it, but you know, if you're curious about the deck title, that is why. But essentially what we have here is we have kind of a mid-range deck with some combo potential. The main combos being Zealous Conscripts plus Kiki-Jiki, which is a classic. You know, we're in red-green, so this card isn't that hard to cast, obviously, and then you know, it wants to be attacking. Both of these cards want to be generating attackers, so kind of, again, still works with the rest of the deck. The other combo that we can make here is Kiki-Jiki plus, where is our guy here? Where's combat? There we go, Combat Celebrant. So this can, you know, attack, or sorry, Kiki-Jiki can make a copy of it. You can attack, untap all your dudes, make another one, and keep doing that. And this is also really cool with Jolene, because again, you get the infinite combat steps. So then you can, like, you know, generate infinite treasures and go from there. So let's see what else we got. And the other last combo here is Aggravated Assault, which again is just a really good card in this deck anyways, right? Because you want to be attacking, but if you can get enough mana, or enough creatures or dorks or whatever, however you want to go about it, right? We'll kind of go over different ways that you can assemble this, but you can just attack, get some mana, activate this without abilities, keep going, and do this infinitely. So yes. So let's go over. So we've got Jolene here at the top. We've got Xenagos, the Reveler here, to generate mana, make some dorks, makes a token with haste even. That's actually kind of really good, actually. I like that. But yeah, just providing a little bit of value over time. Does all the things that you would want your Planeswalker to do in this deck. We've got here some dorks, an Arbor Elf, Paradise Druid. Ash Zealot is kind of an interesting one. I guess. Oh, this is an interesting hate piece for the what do you call Underworld Breach Brain Freeze combo, where if they do that, then they are taking damage every time they do that. So that's kind of interesting. I hadn't thought of that before, but yeah. Otherwise, if you're not playing against that kind of deck, it seems a little weak, but if you are, it's pretty good. We've got Collector Oof, and I've already been explained this, so like I know about this. You might be asking like, hey, what the heck? You're generating treasures and you can't use them in this deck. You're kind of being able to play this because, again, sacrificing the treasure to Jolene is not an artifact ability, and then we've got other things, like Europe or Aether Grid and things like that allow us to essentially get away with playing Collector Oof. And then also you can just it'll probably die, or like it'll you can get rid of it. So yeah, so like I kind of support this, but definitely be careful about when you're casting this. Again, if you're trying to use the mana from treasures, maybe leave this out. We already talked about Combat Celebrant, Destiny Spitter here, just being an anti-control card, making your creatures uncounterable. Of course, there's docs. Like, there shouldn't even be a question. I'm not even going to talk about it. We've got some more elves here. We've got Galia here. I don't think there's... Oh, are these satyrs? They are satyrs. That's spicy. I don't think that really matters, though. Again, we don't really care about that, but... if you like that, but mostly we're here for the effect of attacking with 3 more creatures, discarding a card at random, and then drawing 2. So this would allow you to, if you're attacking infinitely with Jolene, or just attacking a lot in general, to get some card selection going somewhat. Let's see. Goldspan Dragon is a fantastic one here. Again, if we don't have Collector Oof out, right, where we can attack, generate some treasures, and then our treasures make double the mana. So here with Jolene, if you have Jolene into Goldspan, Jolene makes the treasure when Goldspan attacks. Goldspan attacks and makes a treasure there. So each time you're making 2 treasures that generate 2 mana, right there is Aggravated Assault, activation for infinite mana and infinite attacks. So Goldspan Dragon is a fantastic card here. It's not it's a card that you would commonly see in Constructed. Might not be a card that you would think to be super powerful in Commander, but here it's really really good. Harshmender is another hate piece card. One of the things that I'm noticing after this is that a lot of the kind of tax pieces here that Professor Amateur is including are these cheap creatures. So it's nice that even though they're kind of there to be these disruption pieces, they are also just cheap creatures that you can attack with Jolene. So if you don't think they're going to do much, you can feel free to just like get in the red zone with them, and not feel too bad about playing a 2/2 for 2. So then we've got Jewel Thief here. This is honestly, I don't want to call it the weakest card, but it's like it's a 3/3 that if you play with Jolene, you make 2 treasures, so it's kind of like this ramp piece. But yeah, if you don't have it, it's just kind of a meh card. Then we've got Kiki-Jiki here. We talked about that. Clothis here should be an obvious one. Just a good creature. Provide some graveyard disruption, provide some life gain, and can even ramp you. So, yep. Okay, we've got more elves. Magus of the Moon here should be an obvious one. Okim Adversary is a great card. This is a card that you should probably have a lot more in your green decks, just, because it provides some card advantage. We got more ramp. P and Kieran is another one that, if you have generated infinite treasures or able to do that, is a win condition. Otherwise, it generates 3 bodies, which is nice for, if you had the Gallia or anything like that, where you just want to, generate as many bodies as you can. We got Priest of Titania, good ramp piece. Professional Facebreaker is another great one. It's a new one from Streets of New Capenna. It's got Menace. When it deals combat damage to a player, you make a treasure token. In this case, again, it would be 2. So keep in mind, it's only once per, combat step, or combat damage, I guess I should say. And then you can sacrifice a treasure to basically draw a card, or for that turn, exile a top card of the library, you can play it. So if you're generating lots of treasures, this provides a ton of card advantage. And again, another way to use your treasures with Collector Oof that don't require you to sack them for mana. Then we've got Reckless Fireweaver here because we're generating treasures. This is another win condition if you are generating all of those treasures. Seaboard Muse here. This one I'm a little confused by. What is this card doing? Do you have stuff with flash? Like, you don't have that many instants. I'm confused by this. What is this doing? I'm trying to find out. Like, you could untap your Zealous Conscripts and whatnot. You could... I don't know. I don't know what this card is doing. I guess gear per Aether Grid. Hold on. Untap all permanents. Yeah, okay. So like with gear per Aether Grid, like it does some things, but like, and I guess Cryptolith, right? You can like tap them for mana and then untap them. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of this the Seaboard Muse. I don't feel like it fits what we want to be doing. But in any case, we've got Tireless Provisioner here, landfall to create a food or a treasure. So with Jolene out, we make 2 treasures. Zorn here being a another effect for Jolene, where we can double or add an additional treasure onto each of our triggers. We already talked about Zealous Conscripts. Another way that we can win the game is by adding a bunch of counters onto Jolene and then casting Chandra's Ignition here. It's a little janky, but it's also just like a fun way to win. Otherwise, we can also cast this on like our Goldspan Dragon or our Clothis or anything like that that has a decent power level and just do a little bit of a board wipe kind of deal. We've got some ramp here. So with Farseek, Finale for some tutoring. This is another card that gives us additional combat. There's another one here in Seize the Day. Again, just if we can get our attacks on with our treasures, cast more stuff, and then have enough to just like go off, then these effects that would normally not be too useful become really quintessential. Gamble here for some tutor effects again. Finding aggravated assault and everything like that, or your Kikijiki and things is really important. That's one of the things that I'm also noticing, by the way, before we go any further, is like aggravated assault seems like a really important card in this deck, and there's not a lot of ways to tutor for it. That's not a knock on Professor Amateur's deck building. It's a limitation of the colors. Right, there's no card in green or red that really searches well besides Gamble for an enchantment. The one thing I will say is that I wish there was instead of this Seaboard Muse, maybe you could put Imperial Recruiter to grab you can grab Kikijiki, you can grab any of your tax pieces, you can grab Gallia and things like that. That might be you can grab Magus of the Moon, Okim Adversary, the P and Kieran. Like there's already a ton of Professional Facebreaker. There's a ton of cards that Imperial Recruiter can probably fetch here that would be pretty nice. I can't grab these, unfortunately. But yeah, that'd be a card that I feel like would be better than Seaboard Muse in the slot. Again, I just don't feel like Seaboard Muse is doing enough. And that would add a little bit of consistency again. Let's see. Jessica's Will is an amazing card. This should pretty much be in every single red deck that can reliably cast their commander. Nature's Lore, ramp, more additional combat step cards, more ramp. You can kind of see that, you know, again, the deck kind of focuses on having creatures out, and these instants and sorcerers here are meant to be support cards. We got Beats Within, Chaos Warp for removal. Court of Calling, again, for some more tutor effects. This is a nice one. Again, with Finale, both of these, again, can search for any creature. These don't have to be a green creature. So that's why you don't see other effects that only get green stuff. We got Deflecting SWAT and Heroic Intervention for some disruption, Pyroblast as well. We've got Temur Battle Rage here, I believe, for more of like the Jolene, you know, commander damage plan. If you can get this up to, you know, so you can get it to 12, right? And then that's enough where you can get up to 17 if you activate this 3 times. Gives a trample, and then it's got enough to just one-shot your opponents. Veil of Summer again for disruption. Worldly Tutor is another great tutor effect. So again, we've got plenty of ways to search for creatures. So then I guess maybe you don't want the Imperial Recruiter if it only gets a couple. But yeah, I think mostly I'm just not sure what this Seedborn Muse is doing. You Find Some Prisoners has become a you know, kind of an underrated card that a lot of people are putting in their decks again now. So yeah, if you've got this, put it in your deck. It's really good. Destroying artifacts, as we know, is really valuable. And then just, you know, getting to steal stuff from our opponent's deck and essentially draw a card cantrip when it's not doing that is really valuable. All right, we've got a couple artifacts here. Most of them are pretty not crucial to the strategy of the deck, but we've got a Bootlegger Stash here. Again, when we don't have what was I going to say? When we don't have Collector Oof out, Bootlegger Stash can make it so. Oh, these are lands. Never mind. I thought it was like something for treasures. Never mind. I'm thinking of a different card. But Bootlegger Stash here can make our lands tap to make a treasure. So these can, you know, be really powerful with Jolene and everything. And again, we don't care about the Collector Oof part if we are, you know, just generating the treasures, stacking them off to improve Jolene, or to you know, activate our Facebreaker or whatnot. Or using them for Gear Per Aether Grid, right? So like if you have Jolene out, you know, it's just, and then Bootlegger Stash, it's essentially, you know, 1 land produces 2 treasures, and those 2 treasures can be used to activate Gear Per Aether Grid. So 1 land instantly becomes deal 1 damage, and again, you're not even using that up, so it's going to stack up over time. So yeah, you can instantly see how I keep mentioning Gear Per Aether Grid just because I feel like this is just a repeatable effect that's just going to get more and more powerful over time. Usually Gear Per Aether Grid is like a card that you play when your opponent is playing Artifact Disruption, or if you just like have infinite artifacts and you just want to use mana, or use them to deal damage. So like this is really interesting where it's like you play it and it's like dealing a small amount of damage in the beginning, but then towards the end it's going to be dealing large amounts of damage. Let's see. So we got Lightning Greaves here. That should be obvious. Null Rod is another you know, Collector Oof effect. Again, we don't particularly care about you know, activating our treasures if it is disrupting our opponents more. This is one that I would say like you could probably get away with not including. It is a little expensive. This whole deck is pretty expensive. Again, if you want to cut costs down, so that's probably a card that you could exclude. Of course, we've got the requisite Soul Ring, and then we got Trinisphere here to slow our opponents down. So yeah, you can like go Elf on turn 1 and into Trinisphere, and then like from there you can cast Jolene, and then, you know, you'll be able to cast your spells a lot faster than your opponents. All right, let's move on to the enchantments and lands here at the end. Let's finish this out. We've got Abundant Growth. Abundant Growth is kind of interesting. It doesn't ramp you, but it draws you a card and I guess like fixes your mana. I don't know about that one as much, but if there's not another card that can go in that place, it's fine. We've got Aggravated Assault, as we said. Blood Moon is a great one. Carpet of Flowers for some anti-blue heat. Cinder Vines here is a great rule card. It disrupts your opponents when they cast non-creature spells, and then can also destroy artifacts and enchantments and deal some damage. Got Cryptoth right here for making a ton of creatures, and we want to you know, use them to cast our spells. That would be great. Again, that might be an explanation for Seedborn Muse, but I'm not sure. Curse of Opulence here is a really good multiplayer card. So you put it on one of your opponents, and then they get, you know, your opponents get a gold whenever they're attacked, and you also get the gold as well when that happens. So yeah. So it's not a treasure, unfortunately, but it is just another artifact that you can sack for mana, or just use with, again, gear per Aether Grid. So it's a little unfortunate that, yeah, it's not making treasures, but it's fine. On that note, we've got Doubling Season. I'm kind of curious why, oh, we do, I was about to ask why we don't have Parallel Lives. We do, it just was further down. So yeah, Doubling Season and Parallel Lives, really good, again, when we're making those tokens. So with Jolene, if you go Jolene into Parallel Lives or Doubling Season, then you attack with Jolene. Jolene says you're going to make 1 treasure, but it actually says you make 2, and then Doubling Season will double it to 4. So really, really powerful there. And then again, imagine you do that and then you play Goldspan Dragon after, like, come on, like, it's just insane. All right, and then we've got an interesting card here in Druid's Repository. It says whenever a creature you control attacks, you put a charge counter on it, and then you can remove a counter to add 1 mana. So if you have, with Druid's Repository and Aggravated Assault, if you have 5 creatures attacking, then you have infinite combat steps. So pretty easy combo there. And again, just you're attacking with creatures, making treasures, putting counters on us, and just generating mana. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory there, but yeah, really nice combo with Aggravated Assault. So I already mentioned Gear per Aether Grid. I've been talking about it a bunch. It's just a really powerful card when you are making tons and tons of artifacts, which this deck is doing. And again, Collector Oof and those kind of artifact effects don't stop Gear per Aether Grid from activating because it's an enchantment, and you're just tapping the artifacts as a cost. So yeah, really good if you've got Collector Oof out, so you can just like play Collector Oof, still shut off your opponent's artifacts, make a bunch of your treasures, and then just start dealing damage. So we got Parallel Lives here. You talked about that. Oh, interesting. Also, sorry, I'm going to go back here for 1 sec. And because Doubling Season here says if you would place 1 or more counters on a permanent, you place twice that many. So this works for a lot of different things in the deck. It works for Jolene. It works for Xenagos. It works for... what else? It works for... the Druid's Repository here. Is there anything else that it works with? Might not. But yeah, those are some really, like, that's nothing to scoff at, right? Like you activate Jolene, you like, it works, it does Doubling Season is doing double duty, haha, for Jolene here, because it doubles the treasures and doubles the counters that it gets. So really powerful card. I would say this is a must-have, even though again it's money, but I would definitely recommend putting that in your deck. Then we've got Rancor here to just give trample, I believe, to Jolene. Again, if you are got a big Jolene and it's big, then you want to go ahead and give it trample. Rhythm of the Wild here, again, doing some anti-control stuff, making your spells uncounterable, and then giving your creatures Riot can be nice to just give them haste, again, so you can just dump all your spells out, attack with them immediately, or give them an extra counter if you want them to be bigger. Again, another thing with Doubling Season that could work out, or just, again, having a bigger board. All right. Let's talk about Sticky Fingers here. This is the JoJo reference, but it's also just kind of good. It gives a creature menace, and then when it deals combat damage to a player, you make a treasure. So again, you can put it on Jolene, or you can put it on another one of your creatures. Makes it more difficult to block, and then if they don't block it, you get a treasure, and then Jolene will double that treasure, and all of your other, and so forth, as we've talked about. And then the really nice thing that I like about this card is that when the enchanted creature dies, you draw a card. Typically with enchantments, you know, like that attached to a creature or whatnot, auras, I should say. They're typically a 2-for-1, right? So you put it on a creature, they kill the creature, and you lose both. So you're down 2 cards, and they've only spent 1. Here, when the enchanted creature dies, you draw a card, so it's as if you're not really losing that value. So you know, I don't know how much this matters in Commander. Again, like, you know, you are typically have tons of cards anyways, but you know, just in general, again, like this is what I've experienced with in Limited, or in you know, I haven't really seen it much in Constructed, but I still just like this design of, you know, it's a cheap enchantment, you put it on something early, and then later on it becomes a card if it ever dies. All right, and then we've got Wild Growth here to close out the enchantments. Just another ramp piece, pretty self-explanatory. Nothing too crazy in the lanes here. We've got some fetch lands. We've got this Garen Brig to help us cast creatures faster. We've got Treasure Vault here to make treasures. Hey, that's pretty good. I can actually see you activating this. If you activate this for 4 mana and you've got Jolene out, maybe even doubling season, you make a crap ton of treasures and just win from there. And then Yavi Maya here, just because again, a lot of this deck, I feel like a lot of the deck is green. So if you are low on some green sources, you play this and all your stuffs can add green mana. All right, so that's pretty much the deck. Let's talk about, the strategy overall. Again, you're just trying to play your stuff. You're essentially an aggro deck with a combo finish, I would say. Yeah, it's like not really even looking like a mid-range deck anymore. Like, there are some stuff where you can generate some card advantage with Professional Facebreaker and whatnot, but really you're just trying to get on the board, attack as fast as you can, assemble your pieces, and then, go off from there. So again, there's so many cards that work really well with Jolene. We talked about Zorn. We've talked about Facebreaker. We've talked about Goldspan Dragon, Doubling Season, all these things. Really synergistical deck. Of course, Dockside Extortionist. Oh my god, you can like tutor for Dockside really well since we have so many creature tutors. Yeah. Definitely. I don't want to say the best Dockside deck. But definitely, you definitely care about the treasures there. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, and then you got a really good disruption here as well. We don't have the best removal. Again, if we kind of want to be the stuff with the bigger board here, we've got Beast Within and Chaos Warp and things like that for our combat, but yeah, I guess my concern here is like, what happens if your opponent just like makes like large dudes, like play against dinosaurs, you play against dragons or something like that, and like you just don't want to attack them. I guess you don't really need to attack that player. You can always attack like the other players. Yeah, so that's fine. That's the nice thing about like in a 4-player game, like there's probably going to be someone that you can attack, either someone who doesn't have creatures at all, or they only have a couple dudes, maybe they're smaller, or even if they have like one large dude, you're only losing 1 creature if you end up attacking that player. So never mind, but you do have some good disruptions elements, as we talked about outside of combat with Zealot, Harsh Mentor. We've talked about Collector Oof a bunch, and then we've got 2 kind of Blood Moon effects, and the Blood Moon effects, again, even if it is going to affect you, again, you're theoretically landing Jolene first and generating treasures before you do all of that. So cool. So that's the strategy of the deck. I don't think there's anything else that I really want to talk about with the list. Let's give it a rating out of 10. And I'm thinking about this not in the case of CEDH. Do I think this is a CEDH list? Probably not. But is this a list that you could play in a competitive group setting? Absolutely. And yeah, I definitely think in that case it's probably a 10. Just there's not a ton of, I guess I'll give it a 9 because again, I'm just not happy with the Seedborn Muse. I feel like it's not doing enough. There are a couple cards here like Abundant Growth that I'm like confused about. Yeah, I'm just not sure what this is doing here. So yeah, and then I'm curious about if there's any way that we can improve the consistency of finding Aggravated Assault or of finding our combo pieces even more. But other than that, yeah, definitely a 9. Definitely a really powerful deck and a really cool one, again, that makes great usage of Jolene and has so many cards that are really, really synergistic. Again, Doubling Season, yada, 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 Goldspan, yada, yada. Yeah, really sweet list. I think I've played against it a couple of times, and it's looked really fun. So yeah, if you like attacking and you like these kind of interesting creature combos, then this might be a great list for you. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this Commander deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, remember, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. all that stuff would really help me out, putting out as much Magic the Gathering content as I can every week. Also remember, I'm always taking decklist submissions, so either in the comments or in my Discord, send me whatever you got and I'll take a look at it as soon as I can. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me, and I'll see you guys for the next video.